thank you so much for being here today. I am John Monino from Milton Township, and I'm also with the Township officials of DuPage. I am here today with our own DuPage County Sheriff, James Mendrick. How are you today, Sheriff?
How are you, John? Good to hear you today.
I'm doing great. I'm very excited that you're on with us today. And the interaction of the DuPage County Sheriff's Office and the Township officials is just extraordinary, and you are just a shining star right now with this whole COVID-19 thing, right? Going through all this pandemic. Just wondering in your opinion right now, maybe you can go into that, how you're dealing with the COVID-19.
Well, you know, we're dealing with it on a lot of levels. First, we're still a fully functioning agency, full service. We have reduced none of our services, our law enforcement. We still do traffic stops for speeding, and we are still there. So, I mean, we're there with full patrol function, and I will say we are having a rise in a lot of different incidents out there. We're seeing domestics, a lot of drinking, a lot of car burglaries. I suggest everybody lock their cars, especially don't leave your garage door openers in your car, your key fobs. Wow. Those are what everybody's looking for. And with a downturned economy, obviously, theft and stealing are some of the really high growing crimes that we're dealing with. And then we have a partially open courthouse that we're running still for domestic and felony. And then we have the correctional facility, the only one in the county where all the incarcerated people come to. So that's been a challenge. We've had to do a lot. I mean, we have had to use a lot of science. We started planning in mid-January. We've done everything from modifying our HVAC ventilation system so there's absolutely no particulate matter in the air molecules. So we have vented air. Taking the aerosolized aspect out of COVID is half the battle. The other half of the battle were all those janitorial teams that we've been working with. Well, they ended up being partially our savior because of the cleaning, the amount of cleaning they've done on all surfaces, touch surfaces. You know, I'll take the Pepsi challenge against any correctional facility in the nation. We have the cleanest one probably in the world. So you take away those two vectors, anything touch and anything aerosolized, that's what's helped us not have any COVID cases within our jail at all during this entire incident. We had our very first one, and
that's amazing.
Going out today. It's taken a lot of science, a lot of work, and a lot of people working together. But we almost had our first potential outbreak just a day or two ago. We're putting out a press release today. We received an incarcerated person from another correctional facility that we tried to thwart, but then judge signed a minimus. That means you have to take the person. So we had to take the person. Sure. So just precautionary. These are how high our precautions are. Anybody that comes from what we would consider a high infection area, we don't let into our population at all. So this person went right into a negative pressure cell, was contained and quarantined, and then given a test for COVID, which did turn positive. That person's no longer within our correctional facility, but he was for a couple of days. So we now really realize the danger that could come from a transfer from a facility with a high infection rate to one with a zero infection rate like us. So it was a scare, and we are testing some employees to make sure we think it has been contained because of the procedures that we have, such preventative procedures. And I really have to commend my men and women in blue for catching that person before they got into our facility proper and went right into isolation. So, you know, it's that type of professionalism that is helping us survive this.
Well, it's amazing that the amount of interaction that I come into. Give a little shout out to the JUST of DuPage. My beautiful wife, Michelle, works there, and she comes home every day and is just amazed with the different levels of security that you deal with, not only security, but also the safety and of the people working there. So great job, Sheriff. If I could, what were some of the roles you served which ultimately brought you to becoming the county sheriff?
Well, I started over 24 years ago. That makes me feel old when I say that. But yeah, I started over 24
years
ago.
You're young, Sheriff. You're young.
I was a midnight patrolman down in the Burr Ridge, Willowbrook, Hinsdale area. That was my VP date. I worked through all the ranks. I was a field training officer, a corporal, a sergeant, detective sergeant. One of my really favorite things was being the K-9 commander for 15 years. That was really fun. You know, I was in charge of accreditation. That one wasn't so fun. I was an administrative bureau chief, and then I became sheriff.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, what are some of your favorite accomplishments that you've had as sheriff thus far?
Well, there's two things that I am most happy about. In the first one is on the patrol aspect. When you look at this merit that we built, I mean, that's 36 municipalities in the sheriff's office all combining together as one major unit for any large emergency. A SWAT team of 100 strong. Everybody trains together. They have the same tools, type tools, training. So when they go on to a scene, they're not saying, how do you do this? Like in the olden days where we try to figure out each other's differences during a catastrophe. Now we already have seamless training. All our personnel respond together. You can get more cops to more large scale incidents faster. So merit, I think, is just, it's great that we combined, we consolidated it. And, you know, everyone talks about consolidation. So think about that. DuPage County Police self-consolidated. We didn't put the government through trying to make us do something. We gave them better police service, knowing that we were all short. This gave us more personnel for all the citizens. And then the other accomplishment that I'm most happy with is what you were just talking about, is JUST of DuPage. So when I came in, JUST was in danger of being basically eliminated from our agency. It was, to me, terrifying for as long as they've been there. JUST has been there longer than I've been there. So what I did was I doubled what their entire operating budget would do right off the bat. And since then, we've also added on some extra counselors and a reentry specialist. And, you know, people were at first a little resistant when we were doing welding training and the janitorial training and all that kind of stuff. But once this COVID came and you see janitorial certifications being geared towards COVID control, and the inmates actually zealously protecting the deputies to keep everyone safe by cleaning everything inside. It's an interesting dynamic. I never thought I'd see people who are incarcerated and deputies working together against a disease, against it being adversarial with each other. So I think that's just great. Wow. And that leads into one project that I really want to tell everybody about that's coming down the pike with JUST of DuPage. We are going to be doing a really large scale gardening. I shouldn't even say gardening. It's actually horticulturist. And I mean, I can't believe the science to actually growing vegetation and food source. Yes. So it's going to be in pot forms, and these pots will be able to produce like 37 pounds a pot. And we're gonna at least minimally, I think, make over 1,000 pounds of food, maybe 2 to 3, depending on how fast we can crank this out. But there's going to be a lot of components. There's going to be areas that we're going to have for male and female inmates to garden, and then and also learn the steps of horticulture. We're also going to have veterans groups open up to special needs groups. We're going to have a section that flowers are going to be grown for the victims of domestic violence by victims that were either human trafficked or victims of domestic violence are going to come to also tend those. So it's going to be a really good program that's going to really reach out. And in case there is a food shortage of some sort at the end of the year, we will have food source. And if there isn't, God bless, that's great. Then it'll all go to charity and food pantries.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you mentioned that there's other partners in this. I understand Cantini is also involved with that program as well.
That's where the horticulturist is coming from. Mm-hmm. He's the super genius that knows everything about phosphorus and nitrogen and all those things and the material that something I've never studied. I'm actually probably going to at least attend some of it. This is something I'd actually like to learn. I mean, it's teach a man to fish. I'd love to learn those skills of how to actually tend any kind of vegetation depending on the soil sample that you take.
That's great. Well, let me ask you, as a resident of DuPage County for over 30 years, why do you think that it is DuPage remains one of the most sought after places to reside for families?
You know, because it's a great county, and it's like even everyone's talking about the stay at home stuff and are we going to arrest and stuff like that. And you know, my answer to that is, why are we going so far off the rails here? Who's talking about arrest? I haven't had any problems with my citizens. Don't you have to have an issue before you put in some kind of arrest solution? Yes. I am not experiencing any problem. We're using community policing and education when we have these calls for social distancing. And you know what? Go figure, everybody's complying. So if I'm not in combat with my citizens, why would I do something to make it appear that way? So I think all this talk of arresting this and arresting that, it puts policemen in like a stormtrooper model where they're looked at as some kind of unconstitutional enforcer versus what we really are. Look in the statute. We're called peacekeepers. We're here to keep the peace. We're not anywhere near let me put it this way. Let me congratulate the residents, the business owners of DuPage County for being as good with us, as patient with each other during this hard, stressful time. We're not having the problems they're having in other places. I don't want to be lumped in with our next door neighbor. I'm just telling you, we don't have the same problems that we do, and we don't have the density of population. Yes. Our residents, our businesses, I'm dependent on them. Do you know about 40% of some of the materials, PPEs, food, all this stuff has come from our local businesses, residents helping the sheriff's office. So I'm dependent on this community. So I am not going to make them fearful of something that a boogeyman that doesn't exist when they're helping us so much. We're even now, we're gathering food from all these different establishments. We're using our swap vans to take excess food from restaurants that probably won't be used. And we're taking to feed all the hungry and the homeless. And we have become a vessel as peacekeepers, knowing that this is a problem in society now. We're, hungry and homeless, and we're using our resources to cater to that. That's not something we would normally do. That's not a police function, but it is when you look at the global pandemic, and our job as peacekeeper.
I've witnessed it, and I've saw some Facebook links, and a lot of people are sharing your stuff as well, Sheriff. And I've noticed a rise in people just really wanting to help in the community. It's just amazing what's going on, and it's leaders like yourself through our DuPage County efforts that it's just everybody wants to join in. So I really commend you on that. The Sheriff's Department in 9 townships of DuPage serve a very diverse population of nearly 1 million people. What are some of the efforts you've made or seen made to increase inclusiveness and expand outreach to all persons and groups of the community?
Well, like I said, part of it is, like I said, doing all this stuff and working with the homeless and feeding people, doing all these, quests for PPEs. It's really brought us close. I met a lot of people that I probably wouldn't have met normally. All these community leaders came out and started saying, how can we help? Also early in the year, we did a citizens advisory board where we had all these different religious institutions. You were included actually in that. So yes. Where we had like 22 representatives, all different community leaders, and tried to get ideas of just what people expect from their sheriff's office. You got to start with the conversation, and that's where we started. And, the people in that room, just about all of them became very good friends and allies and partners for us. So doing something like that created long-lasting relationships that actually ended up serving us pretty well in a pandemic when we really needed the help.
Wow. Well, how has the Sheriff's Department approached handling this situation, this pandemic currently with this COVID-19 outbreak?
Well, like I said, we are handling it on 3 different levels. I mean, I've gone as far to have our people that go into corrections have a ammonia solution to spray on the bottoms of their shoes, so he stops up from coming in. We're looking at micros that far, masks, temperatures. Our deputies are all equipped with PPEs in their squad cars. It's what it is. I want to be really clear. People need not fear the virus, but they should respect the virus. You have to look at my dynamic. So when you look at, I have a 500-person environment within a correctional facility with 100 employees that are transient, that leave and come every day back and forth to work, and could possibly bring contaminants in. But by doing the common sense, logical, barriers to virus, we've kept it completely out of that environment. So if I can do it in a 500-person environment, I don't see why a shoe store couldn't imitate what we do, or any other area, do what I do. My concern is that if we stay ingrained in science could dictate what I've been being told by some people who are in that field, is that by keeping what we've done, we've kept just hotspots open. So you have your Costco's, your Jewels, and in my opinion, those are your most dangerous hot zones now, because, I told you we have an HVAC ventilation system that we dialed up to 125% to get rid of all the particulate matter in the air. So yeah, we did that. They're not doing that at Costco and Jewel. So when you're in 10,000 people through there a day, think of the aerosolized danger in those areas, and that's our food source. So as the restaurants collapse, those food sources become more and more popular, and it draws more and more people to them. So they're our greatest hotspot. If you're not going into a grocery store fully N95 mask, I think you're taking your life into your hands, because what we've done is we've created, by shutting everything down, is created those focal points. Now, science, and I'm not making this as any kind of political statement, and I start with that right now. It's just pure science.
Sure.
I like to stay ingrained in science, like we started. And if science would say that if I were to open everything up, then people would go to more different stores to get odds and ends instead of just our hotspots, and it would disperse the virus. So when you think about it scientifically, it would make sense to open everything up now to disperse the virus out of our hot zone food source, not collapse into a restaurant, so we keep that food source, because I am really worried about what's going to happen not only to our economy, but to our food products. So I think I could see the logic and the science behind looking at a reopening very soon, because that's just the way the virus travels.
Well, along that opening up soon, we can talk a little bit about another portion that you deal with in Milton Township, the Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT. And also, you're very involved with our Senior and Law Enforcement's Together, the SALT Committee with Chuck Smith. Are the township organizations which aim to increase community safety something that you're currently working with right now? And are you experiencing good, positive things through these organizations?
Yeah, so CERT is a great entity, a lot of resources, great for searching. They're very well trained in grids and patterns and how to search large areas, flaggers that can control traffic points.
Yes,
those are all great resources that supplement the police. And frankly, there just didn't seem to be an organizational bond to where there was some kind of written policy on how we would operate with each other. So my newly promoted sergeant, Eduardo Castillo, of our community resource unit, is joining CERT and our sheriff's office responsibilities and how we're called out. So as I understand it, we had quite a few CERT people out yesterday at that unfortunate incident in Winfield, with that poor girl possibly being, swept away in the water. And I know CERT was really a big help there. Our canines were out there, and it shows when something big happens to the community that they will respond. So it's already working, and I can't believe how fast. I mean, we just started making a formal organizational plan together about a week or two ago, and we're already having responses. So, I mean, what more could you ask for? This is where the future is, where Milton Township, where groups like CERT, where the sheriff's office and local PDs combine our resources. This is just a macrocosm of our microcosm of merit. We want to marry everybody's resources up so we're not looking at each other when we come onto an emergency saying, how do you do things? We already know because we work together.
That's well said, Sheriff, very much. As a longtime resident of Downers Grove Township, how does township government help stimulate the community engagement?
Well, the township are those guys that you always wonder how things get done and you never see them. But they get done, that's them. So I think they're underappreciated a lot of times because you don't see the people coming to pick up all your brush. You don't see the people out plowing snow at 3 in the morning. You're sleeping when that's going on. Right. So a lot of the township functions, are done while people are home or late at night, and townships help a lot during emergencies. I even know, again, I'm going to mention an incident yesterday. I know Gary Muehlfeld himself was out there yesterday helping on. So, I mean, there it is. You had Milton Township, you had CERT, you had the sheriff's office, you had Winfield PD, all working as one big unit. And, that's how we're going to accomplish things.
Well, it's amazing that you brought up Gary because, he does get big reviews and big applause for his efforts. And with the emergency response team, Chris Levan, our township assessor, he's also a CERT member. Most of the trustees are as well. I'm definitely involved with CERT, and we're so proud to be able to partner up with you, Sheriff, on this, on these efforts. So thank you.
Well, I think it really does show the value of township government. Township government is important. you know, even when there's talks of consolidation and this kind of stuff, you know,
Mhm.
people say that before they do the math. You know, there's really not any large cost savings in eliminating any form of township government.
Mhm.
And you will take a hit on your services to your community. So you're going to end up paying the same thing for reduced services in most models that I've seen that someone's actually mapped out and actually done the financial game plan on. Because for me, anybody can have a great idea, that's great, until you have the budget to pull it off properly. It's all smoke.
Right.
And township government is lean. It runs very efficiently. It serves a major purpose. We certainly couldn't function properly without township government, especially, you know, things like salting and snow plowing in the winter. You know, it's really, there's a lot of functions that people just don't understand how important and how much township government really does.
Well, we appreciate you very much on working with the township. We're so excited about the special policing force here in our own unincorporated areas as well. We wanted to make mention of the last thing, if you could help us understand, of course I do because my wife works there, a little more about the JUST of DuPage and the good that it's doing in the outreach, in the assembly of teaching these people that are incarcerated. There's a different avenue other than crime.
JUST of DuPage, like I said, when I first got on, they were in danger of being gone, but we doubled them. I mean, it was that important. And even during this pandemic, we didn't stop our services, our detox, or our drug recovery. You know, they're that important. Those were considered essential services to me. And the problem, I want to put this out there right now. The problem of mental health, opioid addiction, and alcoholism is increasing right now, probably the most alarming rate that I've ever seen in my career. So mental health is the one ring that rules them all. It's people self-medicate and drink to ease the pain of mental health issues. You're starting to get PTSD-like symptoms from people who haven't had a paycheck in a long time and are having problems with their mortgage and can't make their car payments. The stress of all of this on everybody is just making drug addictions, alcoholism, an easy thing to turn to, and that can soon turn to mental health issues. And that's what we have coming. So we're already looking for grants right now. We hear there might be some coming down the pike for specifically opioids and mental health. We are going to get every grant dollar we can so we can enhance our services even further. We're doing good. I think we're doing better than everybody else because of JUST of DuPage. They do all of our, you know, therapeutic. They help with all the drug recovery. They help with all of the psych services. So the storybook program is another one where they have incarcerateds reads children's books, and then we send the book with the recording to the home. So it keeps that family bond. We have that hope and purpose motto in our correctional facility. And you know what it's really caused? JUST of DuPage has really created a dynamic that I love. It's a dynamic of calmness. They make everybody calm through their therapy. So we don't have people trying to escape. We don't have people fighting with our deputies. Again, we have a weird dynamic right now that I've never seen before, where everybody seems to be working together against a virus instead of working against each other. So JUST of DuPage made that happen. They do they're integral in everything. And all these job programs, we're on, I think, our 6th class now of janitorial services that we're doing. Wow. They're going to be in charge of this gardening, or say horticultural project that we're doing. I mean, they have been great. You know, I really want to say thank you to JUST of DuPage for all you do. You know, a lot of them are volunteers doing this for nothing, just to be kind to people, to help their fellow man. And they've been one of the best experiences that I've had since I've been sheriff.
Well, you have been doing a fantastic job. You have brought bridges to these townships like no other, in reaching all the different situations and resources provided. You have really made huge outreach and incredible strides in local safety. And safety, that's why we live in DuPage County. We are happy to live here, and we sleep good at night because of the people like yourself working for our government and our town. So our towns and our counties. So Sheriff, you are absolutely wonderful, and I'm so proud to know you. And I just want to say at this point, again, I'm John Monino with Milton Township and the township officials, here with our Sheriff James Mendrick, and I'm looking very forward to our next update, Sheriff. Thank you so much.
John, thank you for having me on. And always remember, it takes a village, and you're part of that village. Thanks for helping out.
Oh, thank you so much, Sheriff.